all the basic shit can be automated. All of the basic shit can be automated.
From a while ago, and they just
transportation can be automated. Fucking robots can like cook our food. All this shit can be. All right, welcome back to Hindsight 2020. We apologize. I fucked up, and we had to have a 2-week break off because I deleted episode. It was 16, right?
I believe it was 16. Yeah,
I deleted the original episode number 16, thinking that I had already imported the video, and I had not. And then shit got real last week, so we didn't film 16 then. So now we're filming 16 now.
So this is 16.
This is episode 16.
This is different. This wasn't the topic before. So
yeah, the original episode 16 was just like COVID-19, how it was like currently affecting us 2 weeks ago,
which is a little bit different now. It's not that much different, but it's kind of
more gnarly.
It's gnarly, but I feel like around here it's not gnarly, bro. Like no one gives a fuck, dog.
No one does give a fuck, except for older people.
Yeah. Now the older people are caring.
Yeah.
But yeah, my cousins and my aunts have been like hitting me up a bunch, like da. And after I was just like, I told you guys.
I know. I told my grandma not to go out, and then the next morning she took it all serious. She was actually on the phone with me today, telling me, she's like, "Are you being careful?" I'm like, "Grandma, I was momming you, and like now you're trying to mom me," and I'm like, "I was telling you not to go out," but yeah,
whatever. But we're still here. We're still alive, breathing.
Shit's getting kind of real though for people that work at restaurants.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, not even just restaurants, people that don't have essential jobs. They were out. They've been out for a while. And
some people are getting by, like Saint and Jesse's girl. They got their job at the
yeah, but
shop.
that's so weird because damn, I don't even know if this is snitching right now. This is like dry snitching, but because Dylan's shop is a smoke shop too, where they got shut down. So I don't know, like if they're just.
I mean, our podcast isn't going to be big enough.
Yeah.
By this time for us saying that on here to even matter. Like if someone hears it, like the feds hear it 3 years down the line, they're not going to like. Yeah, and we didn't say the name of where they were.
Yeah, I know. We could. I'm fucking kidding.
No, I know. But that technically was a dry snitch.
Yeah.
It was.
Sorry. Damn, dude. Well, we've had a lot of time to think about our 4 months this year. These months.
God damn. We're in month 4, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck.
Month 4.
How?
I feel like at least March and February were like, because of the fucking COVID and shit. I mean, it started earlier, but after that shit happened, now, like, it's such a weird, it's kind of like a halt in society. I don't know. It's not even society because, like, their shit's coming out, like, things come out, music's been coming out a little bit, but, like, when you go on, everyone's, like, doing fucking push-ups and taking shots on their Instagrams and shit, and like
there's a lot of artists going on live too, and like doing like hit for hit battles, like French Montana and Tory Lanez did a hit for hit battle where they were just playing their best songs, and like the people in the live chat, like dude, live chats have been going up, bro.
Yep,
those shits are crazy. Like
everyone's at home.
It's a whole new way to like reinvent the landscape of being an artist and like being a business. To be honest, like even with our job, like reinventing ways to do online ordering and like deliveries and shit that like fucking famous restaurants in New York are like delivering to people's doorsteps now, places where you couldn't even get a reservation and shit.
Yeah, exactly. And now the fucking the inventor of Postmates, fucking DoorDash, all that shit. God, they
were ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it was real ahead of the curve.
They were
now
just
everyone's
in the
relying
right
on
spot
those
at the
fools,
right
bro.
time.
Everyone, damn.
Should have had that stock a little while ago.
Shout out Postmates. Yeah, I used to do that shit too. So I know what it's like to not be mail. Like, cause like if you, like when I did it, you had to at least work an 8-hour shift of straight working Postmates to make any type of and that's not even. It wasn't even good money. It was like 100, maybe like 125 a day if you worked that 8 hours. Like straight, but with gas,
which is kind of like working just a regular minimum wage job
without using your car
and gas
exactly. And using your car up eventually, So it definitely adds up. So I bet right now there's a bunch of surges and multipliers or whatever to get people to want to work for fucking Postmates and all those delivery jobs. It's probably good.
I hope they're making people wear gloves and maybe masks to protect the food. And
I hope so.
I hope so.
There's a lot of crazy stories with that shit.
Before
Lizzo?
before we dive deep into, dude, if Lizzo was doing that crazy shit she did at the basketball game around this time, people would be taking that hell more serious.
Wait.
With
what
their
was
ass
she doing?
out, remember?
Because it's all, it's like super.
It's like, where's your ass glove?
Ass mask.
The ass mask.
What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, in our group chat, someone put this conspiracy theory about how famous celebrities that were technically on or possibly on Jeffrey Epstein or Harvey Weinstein's list of like the inner.
Yeah, that's like a
government.
huge thing right now, bro.
All of them are like getting the COVID, and if they come back to the United States, they might get arrested and like all this crazy shit. And like Naka brought it up today, bro, and like Naka like dove off the deep end, going down the rabbit hole on it the other day, and we were talking about it at work, and bro, that shit is crazy,
bro. This whole ring is coming out like crazy, or whatever it is, whatever this whole secret thing that everyone knows in the back of their head is there, but wants to admit or tries to admit it's not there. You know,
because it's not talked about or shown in the media, and people like the average everyday person just knows what's in the media.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
or only will take into consideration what the media says. You know, but might know this type of stuff. You know, but just like write it off as conspiracy. You know, like as like too much of a conspiracy or like false or just too I don't know. Skeptical of it, like just being too much of a skeptic.
I think it's downright dark magic, bro. I think it's
I
downright black magic, and I think that
I know,
like if they're really drinking little boy semen and blood,
adrenochrome,
like blood of young children and all that shit, like how did they know that shit would work? Because if they knew that shit would work, because it's been a society that's been around for thousands of years, and then that could trace all the way back to like the creators of the human race or some sort of alien, you know, like all this shit's kind of connected the way that the electrical universe is connected,
dude.
But like they're preying on like the negative energy in the universe rather than trying to like uplift everyone to understand the positive workings in the universe. And if everyone understood what they understood, then they wouldn't be in power, because the whole dynamic of power would shift. And we're not even talking capitalism or socialism at this point. We're talking like
super woo at this point, you know, because it's
super woo.
Yeah. That's what it's at right now, bro, because it's a lot of crazy phenomenons.
And if you heard what I just said and you thought I was crazy, I just have like read up on so many conspiracy theories that they all tie together at this point. Like,
one thing I have to say though, I was talking about that one time when I was talking about how the physical is attached to the physical, you know, so us as beings or whatever those people are, whatever those beings are, cannot be the same as someone like us who believes in, or not even believes, but like has the power to ascend or like to transcend different types of realities, because they're stuck right here in this dimension where they have to have a tight grip on it because they can't do anything else.
Okay, part of me says yes to that, and part of me says that it all is in the vibration that they're resonating at. So if they were able to change their vibration or had an awakening too, then maybe that would be different.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
because like they are resonating at the frequency potentially that they're resonating at a really dark, negative, like doing all the wrong shit for all the wrong reasons frequency, then yeah, you're right.
But it could be in their nature, like because it's in some of our natures. Honestly, we don't even know what half of like some of the human race is really evil, you know, like, or at least thinks in an evil way in the collective conscious of how we think of what we would scale as evil and good, you know, because like we always say, it's energy, you know, good and evil is just how you like take it or how it's perspective.
But don't you always think that behaviors can be evil and positive, but the person themselves is just like a channel?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
but
like,
what if we're not even working with people though? That's what I'm saying. It could be, it's a being, but I'm saying like in their nature, it's a little bit of have a different dynamic. If you know, like we're tuned to this, whatever we're at, or we think we're tuned to whatever where we're at in this part of the time frame of the universe or whatever. But you don't even never know, like what they could have been born during the Jurassic times when it was fucking crazy out here and it's super savage, you know, and like that's their thought process, you know, like, you know, it's all up in the air, obviously, but you know, it's
but don't you think that, okay, let's just say that we were really good beings and we gained control back and these beings were still on our planet and living in our, realm
Okay.
or whatever, wouldn't they have the potential to like realize their wrongdoings or their nature and then be enlightened to what we know and then change their patterns?
I would hope so, but like,
I always like to think about that.
of course, I would love, and I would hope so, but we don't know their nature, and we don't, I mean, like we don't even know anything, but I'm saying
We don't
like,
know shit.
The nature would have to be like it seems like I'm saying that it's a little bit different, just because
No, for sure. I agree with you.
yeah, how they've been operating. It just seems like
It's almost disingenuous to say that we don't know.
Yeah.
Because we feel that shit.
Exactly.
You can feel that shit if you know what we're talking about.
And everyone's like, what the fuck?
I bet Abel's listening
fudgy?
to this right now, and Abel's like, bro, I know. COVID. I'm writing a book on it.
He is. He's trying to. He's
Shouts out Abel.
Fucking, I forget what we were talking about, but I was bringing up TV programming, and that's what it's literally called, network programming, because our mind can be programmed. And I was just bringing that up, and he's like, "Whoa, bro, you're getting a little bit too deep into the consciousness thing," and I was like, "Well,
Hey,
no,
bro.
I'm not even trying to get okay. Before I get into the consciousness thing, we can just scrap that. It's called network programming, like there's
words.
there's a patent for this stuff like that. They tell you that your brain gets affected by this. So, it's proven, like.
But they don't want to talk about it. It's in the fine print.
It's in the fine print, exactly. But
like they know the effects of. I mean, humans are creatures of habit. What you see on the daily is what you become.
And we're all like victims of that, like we all go through that, no matter who you are. And even if it could be good or bad. Remember what I said the other day? I was like, even the people that are unsuccessful are successful at being unsuccessful or whatever.
They're really good at not doing shit.
Exactly.
Or being shit. But that's all relative too. Because what if happiness to you is just like waking up, having a fucking bowl of oatmeal and like watching the sun come up, hanging out with your friends, and then going to sleep at night? Because that's success in certain people's minds. So it's all relative.
Exactly. Bro, one time me and Jesse were posted up just like eating a sandwich or something like by the lagoon. He's like, bro, honestly, like I want to make music and like do this and make a bunch of money and stuff just so I can do this type of stuff. It's like, he was like, I don't really care about shopping too often or like doing any of that crazy. Like I want to be able to not have to go to a job every day and like, feel good about have like freedom and like just be able to like hang out with my friends and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good mindset for someone that's going to eventually, have a lot of money, because yeah,
And to take it one step further, I think this COVID shit is kind of showing the idiocracy of the system that we live in, because the system that we live in is all based on it being able to go on. And if it's not able to go on, everything collapses. Like we're watching it collapse right now. And this has nothing to do with, like I said, capitalism or socialism or anything like that, because that's like two really weird, like far ends of the spectrum. But we really do have enough resources on this planet right now for everyone to be fed and for everyone to have shelter. And that's the bottom line. So if we know that that's the bottom line, then we got to ask ourselves, so why is our system set up in a way that the resources that we have can't be allocated to the people that need it?
Exactly.
And then you got to understand why the system isn't set up to provide jobs in a way that that feeds that. And if we know about power and electricity and solar power and electric energy, all that shit, all the basic shit can be automated. All of the basic shit can be automated.
From a while ago. And they just
transportation can be automated. Fucking robots can like cook our food. All this shit can be automated. The average everyday worker wouldn't be needed. And if the power system was set up in a way that like you couldn't be fucking rich off doing fucking lines of child period blood and like all that other shit, like all the weird, there's a weird power dynamic in the world right now. If that weird power dynamic didn't even exist and like everyone realized that we're literally all on the same level at every moment of every day, because we're all equal, then shit would just kind of fall in place. And I know that sounds absurd and that sounds fucking crazy, but I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, we can get into this, we can always dive even deeper and deeper and get into all these like, pathways of all this stuff, but when it comes down to it, everything gets surfaced, and like you could keep on arguing conspiracy, and I don't even have to we don't have to talk about black magic. Like you said, we can just talk about the stuff that's getting surfaced, like all these like Hollywood fucking actors and shit coming out as pedophiles. Like, fuck black magic, what's that about?
Why is fucking Tom Hanks' name on Harvey Weinstein's list?
Exactly.
Why is Oprah's name? Why is all these people's names? And they might not have even been active participants. They could have just been complacent, and that's still a crime. Because if you know something like that's going on, like a part of me feels for someone in that position that like, oh fuck, they finally made it, and then they get thrown into the position where they have to co-sign some shit like that, or die, or like be like relieved of their position, or like whatever, like not able to like have a job in the industry ever again. A part of me feels for that, but it's like, come on, like how come this shit wasn't exposed a long time ago? But I guess everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And it's not even really exposed yet, because until it's like smack dab on fucking in the media's face, but the people that own the media are part of it.
Yeah, well,
are a part of it.
The people that are getting exposed own, exactly, parts of the media. Exactly. So it's a big circle. But
gonna get
before we even get into any type of woo shit, like we always talk about, bro, there's stuff that's not like, that doesn't even just get put in the news, but you could just look it up and then just see, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, why is that? Why did Hillary Clinton delete all those emails off of her shit, off that hard drive? And
they say that she fucking, like, there's a video circulating called Frazzle Drip, where she's like has a torn off face of a young girl, and she's like holding it up, putting it on her face, and like drinking the girl's blood and shit.
I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard there's like a couple of celebrities like where they have like some crazy shit.
But Alex Jones told you this back 20 years ago at Bohemian Grove. And who was there? Those same people. George Bush, Bill Clinton, all those fuckers.
Exactly. So.
But like for real, we're doing thought experiments where we're like taking different conspiracies, and if they're true, we're like leading down the line of reason to like what that would mean if all of them were true, and they could not be true. But like,
exactly. But it's always up for like it's what there's that saying like what you were talking about, simulation theory. Like if we can simulate something, then what's stopping this from being a simulation? Like if that's possible, then what's stopping it from not being possible, like...
Exactly. Well, that's kind of like Murphy's Law, in the sense that if something can go wrong, then it will every time. But there's also the law of attraction, which is what you put your energy towards is what you, in turn, receive. So, like, there's all these different laws working in the universe, and that's where they get into, like, what is that, Dante's Inferno, where there's, like, the different, like, levels of hell.
Yeah.
And hell being, like, the earth, and, like, the different levels of lower vibration until you reach that ascension. You know what I mean? Like, you could parallel it that way, and, like, there's so many ways to parallel it. And a lot of these people might have wrote these things down as stories, and then thousands of years later, we're looking back and seeing what's in the hindsight.
Because of the collective consciousness always is gonna like subconsciously create itself. Whatever it's seen, it can't not, it can't create anything it hasn't been through.
Bro, we're too smart for YouTube, bro. We're way too smart for YouTube.
All right, should we dive in?
Let's dive into today's main topic, the electric universe. Let's do it. This is actual science.
Exactly. What have we been saying for years? What have I been telling everyone for years?
That everything is connected.
Or no, about Saturn. I've just been so...
Bro. Moment of silence for fucking Saturn, bro. A moment of silence for our possible home star.
Home star, exactly. Our possible home star. Exactly, bro.
And this is science that's debating this now. It's not even just speculation anymore. Not ancient alien theorists describing it or nothing like that. This is like people looking at, what were they called? Radio satellites, where they like do, the radio satellites can pick up certain electromagnetic frequencies that can't be picked up by anything else. And it's like proving that there's actual electric currents in our universe.
Exactly. And just by looking at the nebulas, you can see the all like the discharges.
Lightning.
And the lightning.
Bro.
So it's like... Come on, bro. Like, we're not...
Bro, imagine being taught that from day one. How like, okay, at age 5 in 2002, if they were teaching this to little kids in science, imagine where we'd be right now. Imagine how much different of a level the world would be on as a conscious collective. Because, like...
They know electricity is the truth. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, they know electricity is the truth, like... Why isn't the electric car the standard? Gasoline is it's obsolete. It's so obsolete. It's super obsolete.
So
bro.
Finite.
And we have wars over oil and fucking all these resources when, so like Tesla said, all the energy, there's unlimited energy,
Bro, if they admit that they were wrong and that people died because they were wrong and they made all that money off being wrong, that's why.
Okay,
That
then
could
I
be
don't
why.
even know if anyone knows what we're talking about. Okay, let's get into this from the beginning. All right, so it starts off. The video says like we're all made of stardust, like, and that goes into like the whole Big Bang theory where stars explode and it creates an ever expanding space, and then from that particles create life from gravity forming over time.
Exactly.
And then
with the different atoms and the different chemical compounds combining
hydrogen,
and
exactly.
creating the necessary ingredients for life to exist.
Well, eventually stars, and then eventually, planets, and then eventually life. Yeah, okay. So that's how most of us look at us as being made of stardust. That's how I've always looked at it, you know. So on July 1st, 2004, Cassini probe entered Saturn's atmosphere. So I think that was the most recent time that we've been in Saturn's atmosphere, and the last time. So yeah, most recent time. But
They did it for 10 years, though, right? So
13.
13 years.
Yeah.
So 2017 is when the probe ran out of fuel, and then they had it like go really close to, and get pictures of the closest we've ever been to Saturn's surface, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly. And I believe it fucking they blew it up on the surface after they were done, which is crazy as fuck. But anyway, this is the closest we've ever been to Saturn. So what they did was they found the measurements of electrons inside, or like charged particles in the inside ring of Saturn, which which they call the D ring. I don't know like what the relations of the D. I don't know what the D actually means.
Is the D ring just the ring that's around Saturn, or is this talking about a specific electric current around Saturn?
I think it was the inside. The D ring is when I looked up D ring, it was the most inner ring.
Okay.
And I think that current that it was showing in the figure was the electric current that it would be attached to.
Okay, so then all the satellites and all the moons that circulate around Saturn are being pulled not by gravity but by this electric current. Okay.
Yeah. In this theory, yeah, exactly.
In this theory.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Wallace Thornhill, who's like the lead physicist of all this electricity stuff, like he's the one that met up with what's that for? The other main dude. I think I have his name written down over here, and because the other guy is into all the ancient like the mythology, you know, and then he was
the
in
ancients knew Saturn and they called it Shamash and like
Ra,
Helios.
fucking Helios, Sol, and he linked up with Wallace Thornhill, and they were like started, they started bouncing ideas, and they're like, wait, this is all just one and the same, you know, like if we have perspective of it, like this is electricity, like all like vibrating throughout the universe, and this all goes back to what we did last. I think it was last podcast where we talked about all the 432, the sun, the earth, and the heart. Like
it all ties back to that.
Come on now, okay. Anyway, let's see. He said like Wallace Thornhill wrote a paper that said that Cassini would have a bunch of random like phenomenon that, or like it would capture a bunch of phenomenon on Saturn that like is super unpredicted. That pretty much a lot of scientists said that we would just have like we'd go see Saturn, we'd see its rings, you know. But like he said that Cassini we would find exactly what we found, you know, electromagnetism fucking vibing out throughout that whole fucking planet. So they're like, wait, what's really going on? So let's see. It says it has electrical circuitry, electrical circuitry that Hans Alfvén first published as any star or any magnetized body in the star system. Also, the magnetic field of Saturn is perfectly aligned with its rotation axis, which means the standard model for how electromagnetism is created between the two bodies does not work. Okay, yeah. So basically, the way Saturn spins, kind of, I guess it
goes against
the laws
of gravity.
Exactly, because there has to be an offset of like where the rotation axis and the magnetic axis.
Because they're supposed to be propelling against each other and like keeping each other in place rather than operating in an electrical current.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's like, and you can kind of, it's weird to think about it, but like if you ever see like a video game explosion or a cartoon explosion, it'll kind of be like, or like even when a planet explodes in Star Wars or something, it'll look like Saturn almost, you know, like it'll have like a ball of like, it'll be like a ball of energy and then like a ring coming like kind of emanating out of it.
Oh yeah. When it explodes, the ring just kind of comes out of the middle of wherever the explosion is coming from.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that's kind of like what they're basing like what it kind of looks like now. You know, it's like the end part of an explosion, pretty much like.
And it just kind of like stayed like that.
Yeah, exactly. But
Bro, whoa,
it's
that's
slowly
fucking,
dissipating.
you'll understand what we're talking about in a second when we tell you what we found out about Saturn, because that's crazy shit.
What do you have on this? What do you?
I just wrote down like the key points. So
Okay.
I'm like, you're right here where we're talking about the connection of the Saturn and the D ring, and then later on in the video it talks about how they think that Saturn was our original home star, and then they start breaking down how like there are different types of stars like red dwarfs, blue giants, white stars, and how there's like large reds, medium reds, and small reds, and like how the original theories of like how gravity works deems that like a dwarf red is like a failing star, but actually all three of those different versions of red stars operate in the exact same way.
Exactly.
And when you look at it through the electrical universe way of looking at things, you find how the mechanisms really work within the stars, and then they start breaking down how Saturn is potentially what they call a brown dwarf.
A brown dwarf, exactly. And it's a proto brown dwarf now because it was emanating a lot more heat than it was, and then supposedly. All right, well,
I think that now it's just like a core, right? Because
Yeah.
like I didn't know this, but I guess does every star have like a core in the very center of it?
I don't know. I don't know exactly if they can. They don't know because I don't know if it was in this video or in another one. But when the sunspots happen, they know that it's cooler in the core inside of the star rather than at the outermost.
Which would make a lot of sense. Just like it's kind of the opposite for a planet, because the planet has like a star on the inside. It's got the magma core on the inside, and it's cool on the outside, which it doesn't make sense in the opposite of a star being really hot on the outside and cool on the inside. But maybe this electric theory will help us explain like why those things are.
Okay, so no, this is the electric universe, like basically theory or model.
Oh yeah, cool.
So it pretty much states that the galactic scale of electromagnetism is the dominating force / source of the power for creating stars, like as opposed to, as we just talked about, gravity
forming
and electrons, finding an exact combination in an exact moment to do these exact things. Anyway, the Herschel telescope has discovered stars. Like this is what you were talking about. No, this is the Herschel telescope discovering stars forming like pearls on a necklace. Basically, they can see a bunch of pearls, a bunch of stars forming like in a line. Which like pretty much it goes against like all of like the whole
in a Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, that's how the galaxy is working. I don't know if that's how. I think this is just like one of like the galaxies that are like one of the stars that are like one of the star clusters they found. Was in the form like it was in the Fibonacci, but I think like they just found like a little part of it that was like a line like perfectly.
How far
forming.
away were those stars forming?
Exactly. Like I think they were pretty close because I saw it all in like one.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which like goes against what we think about stars, because they have to have these perfect like environments to be formed, which can't happen if there's another star forming pretty close to it and another star forming like next to it. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty much stating that it would be an electric current going, like you said, in a Fibonacci spiral, starting from the center of the universe, going out, and as the electric filaments would pass through different molecular clouds, they would squeeze together, thus creating the stars and the planets, because of how the density of the electricity would react with the clouds. So depending on the density of the clouds would be what stars or what planets would be made.
That's fucking crazy. The shit that tripped me out the most was that I guess in the gravity theory that planets are supposed to always come after the star because they're formed of the particles that are like left over from the star's creation.
Exactly.
And how that doesn't even apply because they've found like floating planetary objects around forming stars.
Forming stars, exactly.
Which would further prove that all those objects are actually being formed at the same time in an electric line. And if the planet is a smaller object, it would make sense that it would be done first because it's tinier versus a star that's getting formed. It's like taking a lot longer, which would it would make sense as to why the planetary objects are already floating around while the star is still being created in this theory.
Exactly. Because when you're talking about gravity, it's all based on luck, or it's like really based on precision and like exactness, which we can't even emulate really in a lab, you know. But what we can do is emulate like electrical currents in a controlled fucking like these little metal tubes that actually create suns and like little earths, which these dudes actually do, you know.
Yo, that's fucking crazy. Bro.
So yeah,
when I heard them talking about that, I'm like, I want to see that. I would like.
They
to
were
be in
doing
a
this
lab.
back in like I think he said back in like the 20s.
No
This
way.
dude did that, yeah.
Well, I mean, if they can make an atomic bomb, then they can make a time.
Yeah, exactly. We've kind of been stuck in the same kind of sciences for a while, bro. Honestly, like technology hasn't really done too much of a boost. Like until we realize that, like what Tesla's doing, you know, with all this like crazy electromagnetism, you know, where he's applying electricity to all this stuff. Not Tesla. I'm sorry, fucking Elon Musk. But
With
that's
Tesla,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Dude, what you just were saying about the tests that they were running and how electricity versus gravity, it made me think of that Bob Lazar shit where they're talking about how the crafts.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, these currents are actually called Birkeland currents because the guy was named Birkeland who discovered them, Christian Birkeland. He's a pioneer in the electrical universe. So there's basically, I guess, two sides to this whole universe or like cosmology theory. You know, like there's the whole
Degrasse Tyson and electric universe.
yeah, exactly, pretty much like gravitational astronomy, and then this electrical. But
they were saying that the the planetary bodies forming simultaneously with the electric or the star bodies at the same time is like a signature of electrical formation and not gravitational formation.
Exactly, yeah.
Which means that like looking at it through the gravitational scope is actually limiting how we can even understand the universe.
Exactly, and here's what I was gonna even add. We can all like they're trying to separate them, and we can combine them, and it'll fucking fit it. Wherever one lacks, the other one will take place. You know, like
Yeah.
gravity is a form
thing,
of
for sure.
fucking. Well, gravity is a form of the two of electromagnetism at work. You know, which like I mean they're not really saying, but like that's what they're kind of like that's what they're alluding
hinting
to.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But they're kind of like separating it too much when it's like the laws of gravity come into place in a smaller scale when the electricity is at a lower
distance.
form. Yeah, exactly, at further distance.
Oh. Damn. So when it's not in line with the electric current, when it's really far away from the electric current, then it's up to the laws of gravity. Possibly. We're speculating.
But which still has to do with how the star that our home or whatever star we're attached to that has an electric that also has an electromagnetism or a magnetic
Current.
field. Yeah, exactly, and current to itself. So
Which is how the planets orbit, in contrary to the idea that it's all with the gravity. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
But that would give it a weaker force, you know, as opposed to the main energy source, which is like coming from the middle of the universe, where we would have like an external source that would make it a
Multiple
little bit weaker.
currents, multiple flows, just like the ocean.
And this is I'm glad you brought that up because then we can bring this whole thing back into the whole flat Earth theory, firmament, waters, separating the waters above from the waters below. We're talking about waves here, you know. We could be talking about electromagnetic waves being separated from the top, and then the fucking waters of the waves of the ocean being in the bottom, and how the moon is affecting the tides of the ocean, and that's a fucking planetary or whatever. That's like a
planetary object, yeah.
Something in the that's literally in our sky, you know, which is affecting our Earth or like our planet, you know. So that's just more of a. It's like, oh man, it's so crazy to think that you can leave it all up to luck, but if you're leaving it up to that, then damn, this is the luckiest planetary thing that we can ever be on, you know.
This is a smart being at work. This is something beyond the realm of our understanding, beyond what we can see right now. Like, he would have to come down, drop some fucking Game Boy cheat codes, and like help us unlock for us to even see his ass or her ass or whatever the fuck is going on. Dude, just imagine being the fucking god in the sky with the fucking pen, the pen of all magnificent knowingness, and just sketching electric currents in the fucking stratosphere, whatever the fuck.
But
programming it in the code of the universe.
Like we were talking about last fucking podcast, it correlates in some kind of way, even though we can't necessarily say that the sun is electrifying us. Mm-hmm. We can see that the sun gives out an electromagnetic pulse that then in turn affects the earth and that the Earth then in turn affects us and every animal on it. You know, so it's a chain reaction in events. You know,
Which we'll get to in a second with that other video.
Exactly,
But
but I mean, you know, it goes back to that whole like electricity being not, you know, like just because it's not, we're not saying that it just you just get electrified and then you're fucking God or something like that, you know, like, but there's a force that's pushing that electricity, you know, because there has to be electricity has to come from somewhere, or a battery source, or it's eventually going to run out, you know.
So is that what martial arts is all about then? Is just like channeling that electric force and figuring out how to manipulate it?
And
then,
yeah.
Then even farther, you go even farther than magic would just be learning from the martial arts how to like manipulate the energy, not only that's inside of you, but that's also around you.
Around you, exactly. So check this out. Have you ever heard of phosphenes?
No.
All right.
Break it down.
All right, now I'm gonna read you the definition on fucking
Google.
Or like Wikipedia. A phosphene is a phenomenon of seeing light without light actually entering the eye. The word phosphene comes from the Greek word phos and phanein. Phosphenes that are induced by movement or sound may be associated with optic neuritis. Phosphenes can be directly induced by mechanical, electrical, or magnetic stimulation of the retina or visual cortex, or by random firing of cells in the visual system. And then it goes on to say, let me see. Those who do psychedelic drugs or people that meditate have reported to see phosphenes. So think about that. So when you're meditating, and you know, like if you've ever been in a dark meditation state, and you can like kind of see, like, you know, it kind of seems like the universe. You're kind of like traveling through the stars or something like that. That's what phosphenes
Yellows,
are.
blues, greens.
Yeah,
purples.
exactly. That's when light is being produced in your mind with absence of light entering your eye. You know. So where's that light coming from? When you go to sleep, when you project the dreams, where's that light coming from? It's the same exact light. We just haven't mastered closing our eyes and mastering that whole world yet, you know?
Or bringing the two together.
Exactly. So this is what this says. It says an unexplained phenomenon that has been reported by meditators, pretty much. That's like what they write it off as.
Yeah.
But when you connect that with the electricity, like supposedly, you know, that comes from the center of the universe, or like, you know, whatever that current, and if we can tap into that mentally without the absence of light, you know, we don't need the light. We're
not supposed to be in the 21st century, bro. We're supposed to be like the 30th century or some shit. I swear. Like, they're gonna be like, Yoga Matt and Dr. Savvy were talking about this shit back when it seemed like a big fat joke.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, bro. So it's all just, and this is just stuff that I've, you know, these are just things that I'm putting together as I'm doing the research. I'm just like, because
everything's connected.
Exactly. Because I started doing meditation and like back, I don't know, what it was like, it's been like
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was about to say like almost a month now. And I started seeing all those lights and stuff, you know, and really, really strongly. And I was like, what are those lights? So I looked up, what are the lights I see when in the dark or when I meditate? And it comes with phosphenes, right? So I'm like, phosphenes, and it comes with, can be induced by electrical or magnetic, you know, pulses. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is like, they're not, is someone they're either not putting it together, or they don't want us to put it together in this, you know, in this form. And that's why we have to write all this shit down, so we can formulate it into words that people can understand and people can digest, and they can, you know, come out with something. Even if they don't want to believe everything completely, you can take a piece of factual information that science is proving every day, and, you know, like, come up with something from it.
Or it'll like at least plant a seed that'll grow on later on in their existence or in their lifetime.
Like we were talking about with network programming, the subconscious is everything. If we can just get the information into people, eventually down the line, this DNA is going to copy the RNA needed to align your life right, you know?
Just like that top 40 seems like really whack in the beginning, and then after the 20th time you hear it, something about it, like, you just like that shit. Just like Cisco be bumping Katy Perry all the time.
And then all of a sudden you're just like, I kissed the girl. Crazy, dude.
Programming.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, everything is related in some kind of way, like we were talking about last time with the sound. And now that we can bring electricity into it, you can kind of relate the electricity with the sound, because it's all waves, you know, it's a wave function. And what do we talk about all the time? Consciousness kills a wave function. So we got a lot to figure out in this life, man. And I think these electrical guys are doing real good by what they're doing. You know, they're not sticking to the mainstream and letting everything just be dictated by one form of thinking. There's also there's multiple ways of thinking, and that's
Dude, we should
how.
always be considering all perspectives at all times, bro. That's the problem with fucking education. It's the problem with adult posturing because a lot of adults want to posture like they know. We need to always be considering all the possibilities. Always.
All the time. Exactly.
Hey, triple A, bitch. Always, all possibility. Wait, no. I don't even know where the fuck
always, all possibilities, AAP.
Always,
AP.
all possibilities, always. Fuck it, yes. Whatever.
But yeah, anyway, this fool fucking Christian Birkeland has basically he can demonstrate sunspot activity, Saturn's ring, auroral behavior with electricity, which is crazy as fuck because if you can demonstrate that, then what's the argument that this isn't what it is? The only argument is that we can't prove the electrical source, I'm pretty sure at this point. Or like where it's coming from,
It's probably coming from where the black holes take you to, some shit.
And then then we can put black holes into a consideration and say that's the pulling or the driving connection or whatever it is.
From a different universe, from the realm that created this realm, from the infinite realm, whoever knows.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so why could Saturn possibly be our first home star?
Can I talk about this part?
Of course.
I like this part.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you want to talk about this part.
Okay.
I've been talking about this shit for years.
So, hold up. I got this. Where did I write this down? Okay, so how did Saturn become a brown dwarf? So they say that Saturn was like, its lights were going out. It was like a red dwarf star, and it was this is hard for me to break down. It's my first time trying to explain.
We're not fucking astrophysicists, I can tell you that much. But
like the weird thing is my brain can compute it, but it's hard for me to say it out loud.
I've been thinking about this shit all day, and then now it's hard for me. Yeah, exactly. It's hard for me to.
My brain computes it. Okay, so the red dwarf star that our ancients report. Okay, I'm not gonna try to conjumble it. I'm gonna go in linear chronological order.
Let's do
it. This star was it was weakening. And it wasn't able to, its electromagnetism or its electricity
was heat, pretty much.
It was failing.
Yeah.
And it was getting closer to the star that we're currently orbiting. As this happened, the electricity in both of these stars was kind of interacting, and it kind of broke the red plasmic crust off of it, revealing the core, creating the brown dwarf that we see today. And apparently, like all the planetary bodies that make up our current solar system happened when that brown dwarf star was like exposed. Mm-hmm. When the plasma or whatever. I could be butchering this, and if I am, you guys can drop in the comment section and help me out a little bit. But the particles that came off of that interaction created the solar system that we know today. And then it went even farther to say that when it found its place in the solar system, then Venus was like apparently created out of it, releasing more particles into space. And then they were talking about this Eye of Horus shit, like where Venus breaks off of Saturn to help create the current cosmos or whatever. I might be butchering.
No, you're good. So I think what they were saying is some of like they said, Earth and some of the other planets were part of Saturn's solar system. So there was maybe like 4 or 5 of them. But when the two stars came in contact, it created like the last 3 or the last 4 that we need. You know what is there 9?
Venus, Mercury, and then it wasn't talking about Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus.
Well, I don't think it went into like specific specifications. Yeah, okay. But what you have to take from this whole thing is that we right now when we look on Saturn's rings, what we find are moons, planetary systems, moons, whatever you want to call them. We find a moon called Titan that looks exactly like Earth with fucking green grass, fucking...
Really?
Yeah.
It has grass?
It has fucking green, it has vegetation.
No
it has
shit.
Water, it's in like the early stages of what Earth would look like, but like maybe like Jurassic times. That's what it looks like pretty much. So,
wild.
Yeah. So if you take that into consideration with the fact that there are all different types of things forming at the same time, and if we were in Saturn's orbit with Titan, and we happen to be the one that formed into whatever this is.
First.
Exactly. and we can see that stage in Titan, you know. But that's still part of Saturn's orbit, while we fucking ended up in a different orbit with the sun because of that whole collision.
Because that star is weak now, and
Exactly.
it's not even a star anymore.
And we don't have enough. It doesn't have enough pull to affect our orbit. But what do I always say? That it has enough effect to affect us. It always has it affects us mentally. The waves of it are still, I think, pulling that. It's still trying to give us a little bit of a
home signal.
Exactly. You know, it's like, come here. You know, like and that's why all these fucking fools back, like not even back in the day, still Melloc Bull, like all that shit is Saturn, bro. You know, like they're worshiping to Kronos, like they're feeding babies to Saturn.
6
Which is crazy, bro.
666.
You know that, yeah. So like that all ties into what we were talking about.
So why
earlier.
is the demonic energy also so correlated with it? Because like, you know that movie we were watching, what was it? It was that space Event Horizon. When they drift past Saturn's orbit, that's when they enter that black hole, and all the demonic shit started to happen.
Exactly. Okay, so I don't know. I think so demonic is, like we always say, it's it's energy, so it's what you want to take it as. It's just negative energy. But I think a big part of why this whole everything is considered demonic is so we stay away from what is truth and what is not, because it gives you a scary, it gives you that sense of, oh, I shouldn't be fucking with that. That's the devil. That's demonic.
Yeah.
But in all actuality, it's just science, and like when I think I was talking with Cass about witchcraft, and she's like, "You believe in witchcraft?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, you were there, yeah. Remember?
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
witchcraft happens all the time. Yeah, it's like just because we can't see it on a molecular level, things are happening that we would consider magic when it happens in real time, But like when you heal, like when you go to sleep and you get a scab. You didn't fucking put a bandage over your scab, like a lot of times you just get a scab, like you didn't put any extra skin over your skin, like your skin did that on a molecular level over time. So if you apply that to your surroundings, holy shit, bro.
And then if it happens quicker than slow.
Exactly. So it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with magic, witchcraft, or whatever. That's just labels for the unexplained or the unseen, Infrared is magic at this point. Electromagnetism is magic. We can't see
UV
it.
radiation goggles or whatever, like being able to see the light spectrums that aren't in our actual vision.
Magic, exactly. So
we wild on this podcast, bro.
Woo. Anyway,
we crazy.
Okay, let's get this going a little bit. Let's wrap it up. I think we got a little bit, like not too much more, because that other video is really short.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, it's David Talbot who does the Saturn myth. And he's the one that talks about how Saturn was depicted as Ra, fucking soul, like you said, Helios, Shamash.
The Shamash candle. That's the candle that lights the other candles, and it's in charge of lighting all the other candles on the menorah.
The great light. Enlightenment, exactly. What is Lucifer? The light bearer. Okay. But like as you were saying about it, the electric universe actually goes into how Venus used to be a comet, and
that's what I'm sorry, I butchered that.
It's okay. No, it's totally fine. You only watch one video. I've been watching a bunch of videos on this shit, and that it could explain why throughout all of history we have this mythological like Medusa with the snake head, and like just certain times like we would have depictions of Venus being like having crazy hair, like having different types of personalities, because it was her like being sucked into the orbit and having all these different phases. And what they've also found is that there's water on Venus, but not like in the way, like not in the sense of like actually formed water, but it's like the hydrogen molecule, like in the air, So what this could be is the great, how we talk about the Great Flood, or how a flood happened around. What are we?
10,000.
10,000, yeah, exactly.
Which is what they were talking about in the second video that I didn't get to watch, but I saw the preview of it come up, where they were talking about Venus forming potentially 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So that, having that water, and when the discharge happened, I don't know if you saw in that first video how, like, you said Saturn's, like the outer, like,
the plasma,
outer, yeah, exactly, fucking started going everywhere. So water supposedly leaked into our ocean and started like creating a huge storm and over flooding everything.
Damn.
Exactly. So that's where we can account the whole
Dude,
flood
maybe
story
that
in the
Bhagavad
beginning.
Gita off the alien tip, off the alien tip and onto the astronomy tip. Maybe they were watching those spaceships in the sky because you know how they talk about the Vimanas and the spaceships, and that's also 10,000 years ago.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
And Plato is like the fall of Atlantis, 10,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm. It all, yeah, it's
The
exactly.
Younger Dryas period, 10,000
10,000
years
years
ago.
ago.
Göbekli Tepe, 11,000 years old, ancient advanced civilization that we can't even explain how it happened, buried under the sand, had animals in those parts of where it's at in Istanbul, Turkey area in the desert that those animals don't even exist now. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to trace that back to the flood and all that.
Exactly. Well, even without mythological evidence, there is evidence of a flood. You know, like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the scientific evidence.
Exactly.
Like the evidence of Göbekli Tepe and the Younger Dryas period, tying it in with the legends of Plato, the fall of Atlantis, and then the shit that possibly was going on in the sky. The shit kind of all like makes sense.
Exactly. And now Saturn, or now you can tie like the whole Saturn cosmology into like the Lord of the Rings lore, you know, like
No way.
Of the all-seeing eye, you know, that like
Oh,
fucking
the horse eye, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a ringed eye, you know, it's like the Eye of Sauron is what they call it. So
do you think that's subconscious coming out, or do you think that the movie producers?
No, the J.K. Rowling knew, like fucking
J.K. Rowling did Lord of the Rings?
Oh no, not fucking J.K. Rowling, bro. Fucking
That's Harry Potter. But Harry Potter has some deep messaging in it too.
Oh my god, now I'm fucking what the J.R. Tolkien. Oh my god.
J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, there you go. Holy shit. Sorry. No, that fool was super into, I think it was a girl, right? A lady? Is she not? Okay, whatever. Anyway, that person was into, I've read that person was into mythology. So that's all. It all ties into it. And you can, Electric Universe goes into her too. Or him. I don't fucking know. Sorry. I'm fucking butchering that. Anyway, we'll get into this last video, which is still going to be exactly what we're talking about, just how the stars and the earth and us are all connected.
This shit kind of explains astrology to me a little, like horoscopes.
Bro, okay, thank you. Okay, see, exactly.
But I don't think that they've all the way like figured it out yet.
No.
But I think that it will prove all that shit where our girlfriends will be like, Mercury's in retrograde. Like,
yeah.
I feel this type of way, but it was literally talking about how like solar storms and the electrical currents in our solar system, in the galaxy, in the universe can affect each human being on an individual level.
Each human being, each animal, and yeah, just everything around it. Because what that video was basically saying is that all matter is affected by all other matter, which is crazy to think
Butterfly
about.
effect.
You know?
Butterfly
Exactly.
flaps its wings, a tornado
or
in Mexico.
What do they call it in quantum physics? Fucking entanglement.
Quantum entanglement. Yeah.
Exactly.
Are we tying together the pieces of the universe or what, bitches?
Okay,
Let's
so
do this.
Yeah, and this still is going back to that whole 432 thing that we went into last. Yeah, so it's just like it just mind boggles me, bro. That like
multiple ways to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You can look at it.
I bet you the star tetrahedron or like that shape has something to do with the electric universe too.
For sure, it has to. Has to.
Are those the electrical current points on the planet?
Whoa! Remember what I was telling? The 1947 degrees of latitude and longitude, and those were like the different energy anodes on Earth, on planets. That's how you get the star tetrahedron shape.
And then that also coincides with how the electrical universe works, right? That model of the universe. Dude, was Pink Floyd singing about the electric universe back in the day? What band was singing about this shit? I swear I've heard like a band be like Electric Universe.
Probably everyone, bros. I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'm fucking brain farting on music right now because I'm like, oh my god, fucking electricity everywhere. But what's it called? These fools basically have trying to find the correlation between how sunspots, like you said, outbursts and electromagnetism from the sun affects all life, and they can relate that to beached whales. They can relate it to depression in humans. They can relate it to the how like some what are they called pigeon carrier pigeons?
No way.
What is it?
Like their migration patterns.
Homing pigeons. Yeah. Okay. So, because of magnetic reception, many scientists have suggested homing pigeons use magnetic particles in their head for direction. Yeah.
Oh, and dude, the trippiest part was when they were talking about how farmers, hunters, and herders don't know that every herding mammal points its head to the north when they graze.
Exactly.
That's crazy, bro. Electricity, bro.
Exactly,
dude, the last part that they were talking about geomagnetic storms changing blood pressure and behavior.
Exactly. Okay, so like you said, like you were talking about how it could explain fucking astrology.
Yeah,
that's the trippiest shit. Okay, so I was talking to Saint Nick the other day, right? And he's like, "Man, I can't fuck with anyone that believes in astrology shit." And I was like, and I showed him the 432 thing that has to do with the sun. He was like, "Whoa, that's kind of trippy, you know?" And then later on, like I didn't even got to tell him this, but that got me thinking. It's like, is that shit bullshit? Because you know, like what you just said. When I saw that, I was like, wait. It can't be bullshit, but like you said, we don't know exactly what the effects are. They can say they do, you know, whatever. But the fact that when the sun is in a certain position, that those waves are going to affect everybody in a certain way.
Well, boom. You could even boil it down to the simplest things. When there's light in your life, you're more happy. When there's darkness in your life, you get depressed. That's you interacting with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if there are planets moving around in the sky, like, all that electromagnetic energy, all the light and the lack of light, all the waves and the lack of waves are going to affect you if you don't know that you're being affected by them. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe if we brought it all into consciousness, it would affect us all differently. But because it's not unconscious and it's all woo-woo and, like, fucking coincidence and all that shit, like...
Because, look, here, when we do the whole gravitational theory and all this talk about black holes and supernovas, it takes away from the connectivity of the universe because it has to be random events that happen over time because certain hydrogen atoms decided to come together randomly. And then we can get into evolution where atoms and fucking cells have to come to an agreement to evolve, to make the conscious decision to evolve, and then to kill all the subordinate species of cells or atoms. You know, that's how evolution would work. So in a perfect scenario, the bacteria from the bottom of the ocean that we eventually grew out of, you know, and eventually crawled out of the ocean and became us, had to agree to, like, we want to get better, we want to evolve as a species, but we also need to kill off the people that don't want to evolve.
Let nature do it.
Exactly.
But like you said, that kind of caps off at a certain point, and then it needs another thing to, like, explain it. It needs something else to help explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Wild, man. Fuck yeah, I love you, dog.
I love you too, dude.
That shit. We can get into it all day. I'm definitely going to be fucking studying a lot more on the electromagnetic.
Please keep sending me videos, bro.
Yeah, I got you, dog.
All right, well, this was Hindsight 2020, episode 16.2.0.0. You know it.
There was some crazy shit that happened outside. We had a little break. That was
that was weird. Some lady crashed her car into my neighbor's trailer, and then we thought we got crashed into. But yeah, we love you. Take a look at your month. Take a look at your week, your year, your day. That was really conjumbled.
The space-time continuum that we're fucking traveling through at millions of miles per hour that no one really knows.
Take a look at all that shit.
Yeah, and don't regret it.
We love you.
Because even if it's random, we love you. Exactly.
Later, y'all.